How should we view the fact that the Czech government parties have put forward a motion expressing opposition to this gathering of Sudeten Germans planned for the weekend after next in Brno?
Well, I think that it is basically just a political game. The government parties, above all the Freedom and Direct Democracy Party of Tomio Okamura, are misusing this convention of Sudeten Germans in Brno for their own political purposes. There is basically no reason to do that because first it is the local government in Brno that has the right to decide about this action, whether it will take place in Brno. The government on the central level or the parliament have no right to intervene. And then second, this is an issue that has been solved through dialogue. The Czech Republic and Germany have been involved for many decades in a dialogue about World War II and the events that followed, including the expulsion of Sudeten Germans. The Sudeten Germans, their organizations are no longer demanding the abolition of the Spanish decrees under which the Germans were expelled from Czechoslovakia. So this is to a large extent artificial. We will see how much this will work on the level of national politics, because although in the past we know it did work, for example, during the presidential campaign in 2013 when Miloš Zeman used this question of Sudeten Germans against Karel Schwarzenberg. Now we have 10 years of more dialogue and developments, and I don't see how this will add too many voters to the camp of, especially of the Freedom and Direct Democracy Party.
Well, Prime Minister Babiš says that some people in Czechia regard the idea of holding this Congress as a provocation. Other politicians have used stronger language that critics could say is fear-mongering. But if this approach is actually working on the Czech public, what do you think it is that some Czechs are actually afraid of here?
Well, I think that there's a small and ever smaller group of Czechs in Czech society who are afraid that certain Germans could ask for some kind of retribution or return of property and so on. Or they feel that this is a moral question because we should not be reconciling with certain Germans in light of what the Germans did to the Czechs during World War II. But this has been a subject of many discussions. There is a Czech-German forum for dialogue about these questions. And Germany has become one of the main allies of the Czech Republic. It is the biggest export market for Czech industries, and to engage in this kind of fear-mongering is really risky, because we have seen some negative reactions in Germany. They don't understand why this is such a big problem, or why it is being misused, and why the Prime Minister allows the extreme right Freedom and Direct Democracy Party to misuse it. So I really think that it's all very unnecessary, and it's an artificial problem after 35 years of Czech-German dialogue.
If this assertion is correct, and Mr. Babiš is allowing Freedom and Direct Democracy to misuse the situation, why is he doing that? Why is he letting them set the agenda in this way?
Well, Mr. Babiš has a more general problem, and the problem is that he needs both. That is the Freedom and Direct Democracy Party, and also the Motorists, which is another coalition party. He needs them for maintaining his majority. He knows that if they left the government would fall, and he would have huge problems putting together another government. So he basically makes a lot of concessions, which he didn't do during his first mandate when he was governing together with Social Democracy with the support of the communists between 2018 and 2021. So he's a hostage to some extent. Of course, the question is whether there are any boundaries that he may not want to cross, because this may be damaging to his own business interests. Mr. Babiš, as we know, is an entrepreneur. He has firms in Germany, some significant investments in Germany, and in general he needs good trade relations with Germany. So if he allows this to go too far, it may actually damage relations with Germany. This convention of certain Germans is supposed to be attended by the Bavarian Prime Minister Markus Söder and also by the Minister of Internal Affairs of Germany. And both these politicians will probably wonder about what's going on. And of course, it will have some repercussions for Czech-German relations.